Good afternoon, and thank you so much for having me to this conference. Unfortunately, I am not able to participate live, but nevertheless, I am so happy to be able to share this link from Stockholm, Sweden. My name is Sophia Johansson. I'm Chief of Staff and also Head of Procurement at the school property company in Stockholm. I started my journey in the company a little bit over 10 years ago as technical advisor within construction. So I do have my heart within the technical field, but the last 5 or 6 years I've been working more towards the management team. But just to put the school property company into context, we are a public company and we are owned by the city of Stockholm. In the city of Stockholm, we are altogether 16 companies, and it's also ruled under 11 districts. Later on during this session, I will also ask my friend and colleague Niklas Dahlgrip to join me to talk about the technical application of AI in schools. So the school property company, we own, maintain and develop schools and preschools only. And altogether we have about 600 properties and round about 200,000 people visiting the buildings every day. And although we are a public company, we are one of the largest property owners in Sweden, and we have altogether just above 1.8 million square meters to handle every day. So as a construction engineer, I like to show you this picture, and this is actually a summary of all our buildings divided into year of construction in relation to the amount of square meters for each year of construction. And I think this curve, the chart, it shows, I think all our property owners in Sweden have a chart showing sort of the same years when we had the big construction booms in the country. Of course, a lot in 50s, 60s and 70s. Now in modern time as well, we had a lot of constructions, but also in the early 1900s, we had a big construction boom in Sweden. And of course, the school buildings are following the development of the city as such. But I think the most important part is that no matter if it's an old building or a new building or something in between, the quality of the indoor air is equal important. So the service and the quality of the buildings inside, the demands for that is equal no matter when the building was made. And I think that is also something that we bring with us in the technical work when we're working with the AI in the schools and preschools. So we are soon going to get closer to the application of AI in our properties. But first, I would just want to mention how we are working with goals towards sustainability in the city. In Stockholm City, we have quite tough, aggressive goals towards a sustainable society. And those goals, of course, applies to us as a company within the city as well. We have been working on our own roadmaps to make it clear how this way should look. But for example, one target could be a decreased use of energy. And that is one of the goals that has been, how can I say, but maybe the main factor for us to start using AI in properties. The sustainability targets set for us, and more specifically the energy targets set for us, has really made us go out on a green journey. And I would like to tell you a little bit more about how that has been looking for us. If you have a look at our energy use, you can see a decrease by 8% for the past years. And if we look at our properties, the 1.8 million square meters, of course, that is a lot when it comes to both money and also how we can invest further in new technology in our properties. I think actually one key for us, just to sort of get ahead on the on the upside for using technology is that the saving we can make, they are so big because we have so many properties. So if we can just make a little saving, that actually makes us being able to invest even further because the upside economically is so great. You might wonder why we had a little dip around 2020 and then coming up again. And I can only explain that by the pandemics. A lot of schools were closed for a long period of time. So, of course, we had a lower energy use in our properties around that time. But then after that, you can also see how aggressive the saving has been. And AI is one part of that. Here's another interesting picture I want to show. And the blue line on the chart, it tells how much energy use we would have had if we had done nothing to our properties in order to save energy. And the peached color line below shows the actual energy use. And as you can see, the decrease is about 78 gigawatts, and that is yearly, the energy saved. But more interesting is that the saving in carbon dioxide is about 35,000 tons of carbon dioxide equivalents during this period of time. So now moving into the more technical field and what we have actually done to save all this energy. About 10 years ago, or a little bit more than 10 years ago actually, we started our journey, and we have a concept. We called it SISAB Online. SISAB, that's short for our company name. So that is our online system where we monitor all our properties. So we set a very clear target by then, how we should put sensors in all our properties, what to measure, and how to maintain them from our head office. Before then, all our ventilation system, they were run separately, but 10 years ago, we connected all our technical systems into this SISAB online system, so we can keep track of every system from our head office. And by that time, that was a big hooray for us. It made it so much easier to, set specific times for the ventilation system, specific times for the heating, and so on. And of course, that made us save quite a lot of money. But we saw with AI, we can do so much more. So, as I mentioned, we have been connecting all our properties to our SISAB online system, and that helps us to monitor and also operate all our properties. When we started this journey 10 years ago, it was a revolution for us. It made the handling times of any error so much faster. We can see the problem straight away from our office. We didn't need to have one person going out to the specific building and make the adjustment there. We can make the adjustment here in our office, and the customer experience was altogether a much better experience. And that was a big win for us. But what we could see then is that, yes, we can see what's happening in the buildings in real time, but still it's a lot for us to handle, and it's a lot of man hours put behind to have the optimal hours of air, heat, and so on. So for us, we needed to apply AI to make smarter decisions. So our green journey started by monitoring all our properties and trying to make the best decisions by ourselves, but also always with a great focus on the indoor quality for all the children and youth using the properties on a daily basis. But then the next step for us was really to apply AI in order to make the better decisions and also to make the bigger savings on energy use, of course, but also cost effectiveness. And also to be able to increase the indoor air quality even more. And my colleague Niklas Dahlgren, welcome. You have been working with our AI system since 2018, I think.
Yes.
And you were definitely one of the persons that made the decision to apply it.
Yeah.
How was that decision?
We have worked for several years with the physical systems, and we had got on top of the process, but now we have to figure out how can we combine data so we can make some more improvement. Today we have about 20,000 sensors. We have 11 of those are critical. We have about 5,000 systems. So how can we figure out to be the best decisions of that? No, not for any human being. So with the help of the algorithm and the AI, we have done about 1 million calculations in each of those systems. So today we can have new figures every 15 minutes. We have got an update each 15 minutes. And we can also get data from, not from the systems inside the house, we can get data from weather forecast and things like that. So third parts of data is a reality today. And today we are about 24 to 48 hours ahead in everything. So we can see in the future 48 hours.
So that's really something that I find really interesting. And if we were to give an example, like how do we use all these data? You mentioned the 48 hours. So we basically give each property a energy budget for 48 hours, and then the AI can decide when is it best to heat, when to ventilate, and so on.
Best in the cost way and best for the efficiency. So we can combine these kind of things. So the smartness in the property makes a better climate indoors and make better cost figures.
Something else that I find really interesting is that our journey started 10 years ago, a little bit more than 10 years ago, actually, with the monitoring. And now, 10 years later, we use a totally different technology. But still, that first step to start to monitor has really been one of the keys to develop further.
If we hadn't started that kind of journey, which started to get in the digitalizations, you have to structure figures out. Data is one or zero. You can't speak languages that nobody understands. So you have to have a good structure, you have good knowledge on the properties, and you have to learn the figures in the properties, how they work, and if it's already efficient. We can't get things done only with digital works. So you have to need the real energy work before and your structure at the first time.
True. Something that is a big topic, at least here in Europe, is legislation regarding use of AI. For us, I mean, we're not using any personal data as it is now, so it's not really an issue for us. But what do you see when you have your glasses on? I mean, regarding legislation and so on developing, is it going to be a problem or?
No, I think all thing you work with could be anonymous. You don't need to know person specific information. You can measure flows of persons, flows of energy, flows of time. You didn't need personal information at all in the systems.
True. Something else that that we work with a lot when it comes to application of AI is also to develop more sensors. I mean, now you were talking about sensors for humidity, for temperature, for airflow, and so on. But something that I think is a little bit interesting to look into is also, I mean, we were talking about legislation just now, but I mean, so many controls that have to be done in the property management. So maybe to develop more sensors connected to other types of controls. How does that?
I think in the future, the most of the quality work in the properties is done by sensors. We can measure sound, we can measure flows, we can measure strange. We could measure lightness, everything, and of course we could, as far as we could go, measure what the human being is feeling right now. It is, if we can see the human being as a sensor, and we have to deal with that and make a lookalike like a human being, then we can forecast what the human sensor is feeling, and we can adapt the systems to the human beings.
Because that's really the reason why we do all this
Yeah.
work, to get the better quality for the people using the properties. Something else that, I mean, now we are gathering so much information, and we are, of course, using it in real time to advance our systems. You said every 15 minutes, but how do you, in your organization, use all the data for the people working with the properties on daily basis?
As we get so much information, we have to put it like in a data warehouse. So everyone who works with specific parts could be on top of the information, and we have to make it exact and easy to get, and to get everyone in the company has to see the same picture of what's happening in the properties and what we are going to do. Then in that kind of way, we all take part of the same decisions for the properties.
Very important. So finally, I mean, Niklas, when you and I, when we are in the management team together, of course, we are discussing how to invest in the future. And for us with technology and AI, we had a strategy. We start small, and then when we see this works, we scale up. And that's one way for us to sort of advance. And when we see this is beneficial economically, then we can, invest further. Do you have any comments to that?
Everything we have done, we have scaled up. Everything we've done, we had a profit on. Everything we going to do, gonna have a profit or a quality profit. So profit is only the reason we are doing it. And if we're doing a profit in cost, for the people who lives in our buildings, we are doing a profit for the whole human beings and the whole planet.
And especially for Stockholm City.
Yeah, for Stockholm City.
Yes. Thank you so much, Niklas.
Thank you.
Thank you. If I can only share one knowledge or one experience for applying AI into properties, is to really focus on the customer. And in our case, it's the school children. We want to make sure they have a good indoor climate. So those are the frames we are set up for our AI. We know what temperature they need in the building. We know what airflow they need, and therefore we put the frameworks around that. And then we use the AI to optimize to make the best possible indoor quality. And that really goes hand in hand with the energy use as well. So our company has been around for about 30 years, and it's always been important for us to create school buildings that are energy efficient, good for the environment, but most importantly of all, buildings that are good for the youth and children using them. It's their workspace. And I think our aim for the future is to continue to deliver those good indoor air qualities for the youth and children in Stockholm. Again, my name is Sophia Johansson, and I'm from the School Property Company in Stockholm. And I just want to say thank you so much for having me for this session.